Okay, I'm ready. What is your first question?
I think my first question has to be related to my family. Just, um, I guess how how is how is my brother gonna do in the future?
Hmm.
And what how should I be a sister to him, like in the best type
That's
of way, I guess.
a great question. So when I do relationship type questions, I like to check in on a soul level. And then also, so
Mm-hmm.
soul level means like before you guys chose to come down here into these bodies, what was the intention? And then a
Mm-hmm.
reading on like currently right now. So we can definitely cover both of those questions. And if there's just give me a second.
Okay.
Is your brother older or younger than you?
Younger.
Amazing. All right, so we have the hero, we have the queen of fire, and we have the seven of earth. These are great cards. Let me just move them over so I can make sure I see them all. Okay, so we're saying start with the hero card first. So first, welcome to this opportunity for your guides to share their wisdom and their guidance with you at this present now moment. They're honored that you would seek their counsel and they're excited to share their messages with you. So the first thing you need to know, they just keep saying over and over and over again, hero's journey, hero's journey, hero's journey. But just give me a second to make sure that they're talking about your brother. They're talking about both of you, actually. So both of you are on your own individual versions of the hero's journey. That's something you can look up. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, but it's basically hero. There's a person. They go through different challenges. They overcome those challenges, and then they come into their own power type of thing. So although it is the same concept for the both of you, the way that it's approached is completely different. For you, it's about empowerment and also independence. And for him, it is too, but in a different kind of way. It's kind of like the courage to listen to what's important, that's actually important to him versus what the people, like, not just people, because it's not, I thought it might be family stuff. It's not just family stuff. It's like society, like what society expects from him, and having the courage to kind
Mm-hmm.
of shake that off and do his own thing. But for you, it's
Mm-hmm.
more around like they just keep saying empowerment and independence over and over again. So same category but different experience. So that's the first thing you need to know. I'm gonna go to the bridge next.
Interesting.
So I feel a little bit emotional when I hear this message, but what they want you to know is that he relies on your example of strength a lot more than you maybe give yourself credit for. I don't know what the relationship is between the two of you, but he does admire you, but it
Mm-hmm.
also is threatening to him, because he feels some kind of implied pressure, to kind of like walk in your footsteps. He doesn't really want to do that. Um, but
Mm-hmm.
he's not able to understand it for what it really is because it feels like that implied pressure doesn't at all come from you. It's just I can't tell if it's like family dynamics or again like the societal pressure, but the way he interprets right now is a very immature way. And so what they're saying
Mm-hmm.
is right now there needs to be space like from you, like just space for him to be himself, and not
Mm-hmm.
too much of the role of a guide right now. He just needs space and like a lot of encouragement and validation because he's going through a really tough time. Like the choice that's basically in front of him is, do I go with my heart and like what actually I feel called to, or do I just need to take marching orders like a soldier? And he hates that feeling. So that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what's in front of him. So they're saying there's going to be a point, in the near future, but they're saying near future in like years, not in like months or weeks, where you're gonna like reach out a hand. They're showing me like that that Michelangelo roof or ceiling. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, with
you're
the
gonna
fingers.
yeah. But if you notice, they
Mm-hmm.
don't actually touch. There's a gap in between, so it's kind of like you can reach
Right.
out, but he needs to really be the one to like take that offering of help. So that's the second thing. Shane, go to this one next.
Gotcha.
So the first thing I heard was balance, which makes sense. This is a person that, I mean, this person looks balanced as fuck, right? Like all their chakras are aligned, they're growing
Yeah.
fruit out of the tree, like
Yeah.
super balanced. Um, but for him, the way that he perceives balance is financially. Like he thinks like, okay, if I have enough money, then I'll have everything that I want. And it's not actually true. Like he needs to find balance within himself and the money will flow to him. So right now he's kind of in this place where it's like, I just keep seeing the same question in front of him, like, do I go after what is in my heart or do I do what I think is best, like logically type of thing. So it
Mm-hmm.
feels like the way that you can demonstrate that is by the way that you demonstrate that to him is just by being yourself. Like whatever way that you show up as like this very bright figure, that kind of he feels like a shadow is cast. But if he could just, it just feels like he's going through a lot emotionally and he's not able to see you as like helpful right now. He just sees you as like the brightest thing in the
Mm-hmm.
room and he just can't be himself. So there's that. And then this Queen of
Mm-hmm.
Fire. So they're telling me, so this deck comes with a guidebook, and they're asking me to actually read because this represents you and how he sees you, and it
I
just
love
feels
how
like,
there's a cat in there
ah, I mean,
because I have a cat.
really,
Yeah.
and the cat is badass. Like he's just like, "What's up, bitches?" Like,
Yeah.
I love him.
Mm.
Oh, give me 1 second. And I'll also include this. Sometimes that happens in readings where they'll be like, send the actual like book reading because this is a channel deck, which means the woman meditated and channeled this information in. So I'll make sure I send that to you. All right, the Queen of Fire is a strong and powerful woman. She's someone who's not afraid to go after that which she desires most. She's focused, determined, and very optimistic. Those around her find her charismatic and engaging. Her warm and expansive nature draws people to her like moths to a flame. She's also a very primal, sensual woman. She engages her senses in all that she does. She's the type of woman who will always look you in the eye, will reach out and touch your hand and listen closely, giving you all of her attention. She savors life like it is a glass of fine wine or velvety dark chocolate. She's vibrant, alive, and unforgettable. She has the power to change your life in the moment you first meet her. Her independent nature makes her a natural leader and not a follower. Her confident and self-assured manner has her achieving all that she sets her mind to because she's so embracing and kind and not interested in competing with anyone. She's loved by many. A natural extrovert, she loves being the center of attention, but she also gives her attention equal measure. So this is the like what you at the best, right? But then how you're perceived by him is the reverse of this. So just give me a second. Well, I guess this is a message for him. The reverse Queen of Fire symbolizes the need to meet life head on. Don't hide. Pick yourself up, put your game face on, and keep going. Put your head back, and laugh in the face of conflict and challenge. Make a proactive choice not to be miserable, even if it means faking it for a while. Your choice to not focus on a situation or issue that cannot be changed will serve you well. Your chance to smile, laugh, and dance and drive joy from life in spite of the disappointment and hardship will bring you good things in your life. The Queen of Fire reverse also cautions against giving in to catty behavior. Do not allow hurt, disappointment, jealousy, or petty rivalry to inspire you to behave in a manner that's beneath you. You're a queen, act with grace and dignity, put your claws away, your time and energy are better invested elsewhere. So it just feels like basically he loves you but is intimidated. And he kind of needs a lot of space for him to like step into his own power so that he can recognize you've always been shoulder to shoulder. Like I'm not getting this energy at all directed back to him, but he perceives it that way. And
Mm-hmm.
so he just needs a lot of space.
That's so interesting. Wow.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So you can ask a clarifying question or you can ask an entirely new question. Totally up to you.
Um, I think I'm going to go with an entirely new question.
Sure.
Um, I guess I've just been finding myself like struggling to balance certain things in my life, like
Mhm.
work, health, um, like certain goals that I want,
Yeah.
and then like obviously the family stuff is a huge source of stress
Yeah.
with both my brother and my mom.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm just wondering, I'm trying to think of a general question.
Yeah.
Is this gonna get better or is it gonna continue? And I
Yeah.
just need to find a way to deal with it.
That's a great question. Okay. Let's see what they say. Okay. So we have the Ace of Earth, we have the Offering, and we have the Five of Water. So give me 1 second. Just me. So you can start with the Ace of Earth. So the first thing I heard was like grounding energy, but I'm seeing that in the form of this dragon like flying through. Um, and usually these dragons show up not as like Western dragons, like Game of Thrones dragons. They show up more of like Eastern dragons, like the long, skinny ones. But this one's showing up
Hmm.
pretty fucking hefty. Like he's pretty heavy and he flies very powerfully. Just give me a second to see what the message is about that. I just feel like the energy in your family just like needs a lot of grounding. There's a lot of pain that instead of it being functional pain, which means like, yeah, this sucks, but like if I learn from it, I don't ever have to experience this again. It just kind of like sits there. Like it just sits there and congeals
Hmm.
and like nothing's really done with it. Um, and I feel like it's like when you're bringing up your mother, I feel like she doesn't she can't acknowledge softness for herself, you know, so she just kind of
Hmm.
she just feels very like spiky, like everything just gets like just pushed outwards, and it doesn't because it's unaddressed, it doesn't the quality of it doesn't change. It's just spiky and then it's released a little bit, there's a little bit of pressure release, and then like it continues to be spiky. So the family dynamic needs a lot of grounding, but what they're saying is that you've kind of taken on that burden in a way that was never your responsibility. Like it's kind of they're using the analogy of like if you were to do the homework for you have a kid, they're in school, like you do all of their homework for them, right? Like when it comes to take the test, they're going to fail a test because they never actually learn the concepts, right? So it's the same thing with your
Right.
mom in particular. It's like you kind of have to let her just sit there and simmer in her own shit and decide if she wants to stay there or not. It's not on you to help her process that, and it feels like not only have you kind of been a punching bag, like I just see a lot of energy directed towards you. Not only have you been a punching bag, but also you've internalized the responsibility of like helping in a way that's really unhealthy for you. So they're asking you
Yes.
to kind of like give yourself distance and not guilt trip yourself for that. Like this grounding energy is part of your nature, but you can turn that energy inwards towards yourself. Um, because you'll find that a lot of the stress that you feel, it doesn't actually belong to you, girl. Like it's really not yours, you know? So if you can find a way to just be like, I trust that just like my soul knows what it's doing here, like their souls have a purpose for this experience that they're going through, and honor their journey and let them have at it type of thing. So that's the first thing. And then this one next.
Wow. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. Um, so they're saying like there's it's really difficult for you to completely disconnect, and so what you can do is use prayer, and it can be in the form of like writing letters to the like appealing to like the higher self of like the people that you care about, or it can be literal prayer if there's a god or a being that you believe in, or just like saying affirmations, like some way of like just speaking positivity into that environment, and know that that is enough. Like you're just giving love in a way that they don't ever have to consciously receive. They can receive it energetically, you know. But they do say
Hmm.
that your words have power, especially over your family for some reason. So just continue to speak words of compassion and love and understanding and support, even if you're not speaking it to them directly. The effect will still manifest. So that's important for you to know.
Interesting.
So the first thing I heard was love is enough. Like you it's hard, right, sometimes to like feel to separate out the pain from the love, like of course I love my family, of course I love my friends, right? But when there's so much pain, it's really hard to return to that feeling of joy. I think that's what's difficult to access. That's what it feels like. It's difficult to access the joy. And so they're saying like it's important for you to separate yourself, energetically and emotionally from the shit. Like the problem with the balance is that there's just too much. There's too much happening. Like the things that you actually want to do, there's enough time for all of those things, but there's not enough time when your mental capacity is caught up running. Like I heard this thing once. It's like if someone asks you, like presents you with a problem, regardless of if you like that person or not, your brain is still gonna like be thinking about how to solve that problem, right? And so you're
Mhm.
using mental energy towards all kinds of problems. It's not just yours. Like it's work problems, it's balance problems, it's your problems, it's friends problems, it's everything. So it's like be conscious of how much subconscious energy you're putting into situations you actually have no control over. Um,
Mhm.
the best offering that you can offer to people that you care about is I want for them what they want for themselves. Whatever that is, whether I agree with it or not, like they're there for a reason. If they could do better, they'd be doing better. So I just want for them whatever they want for themselves, and I hope that they are able to find peace and happiness. So it feels like the balance
Gotcha.
issue is not with you at all. It's more of like you're taking on so much energy that it's just really difficult to have space for anything else.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so interesting because the dragon, like, because like I grew up in China and
Mhm.
the culture there, Eastern culture is like you take care of your family always, and you like the younger generation kind of take on that responsibility of, taking care of the older generation. But I just feel like I'm still too young to be doing that, but I am like kind of in a way I feel forced into that position currently.
Yeah.
Um, Anyways, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah. And
I
also
like the
recognize.
positive affirmation.
Yeah, me too. I like that a lot. Also remember like the
Hmm.
timelines are stretched now. Like we're getting married later, we're having kids later. Like our parents are doing shit when they were 20 years. Like, can you think of yourself at 20? Like,
Right.
hey, no way,
No.
you know? So yeah, I
Yeah.
completely understand that pressure. All right, what's your next question?
I actually have a question for you actually.
Yeah,
So when you say like a channel, as in like you're channeling like my personal guides or a guide for the cards, like how does that work?
that's such a good question. So each deck of
Hmm.
cards does have its own energy that I connect with. So
Hmm.
like this deck is very encouraging and gentle, but I have another deck. Where is it? Right here. Ah. It's funny because this deck was when I started getting into tarot. I was like, all these people are white. Like I want a deck that's like looks like me. So I got this deck from a black
Hmm.
woman that the
Hmm.
deck is built off of people in the African diaspora. This deck is harsh and it's not very nice. And at first I thought it was me. Like, why
Hmm.
do these messages sound so different? Um, but I read and
Hmm.
before I do any sessions like this, I kind of feel the energy of the person I'm going to be working with and see what kind of messages do they need. And sometimes people do need this kind of answer. So it's a blend of both. Like I'm connecting with your guides. Like I've had people's like ancestors come through, family members come through. But I always set the intention to go through my guides. So what happens is when my
Hmm.
eyes are closed, like I kind of see them in a room together, and so everyone's kind of talking, and I'm
Hmm.
overhearing what they're saying, and then they'll talk to me and say, "Okay, this is what to say." So it's pretty cool.
Interesting. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, I guess my next question would be like, so I've always wanted to, I'm in healthcare,
Yeah.
and it's like I have a really good job, I make really good money. It's really stressful sometimes, but it definitely like it makes my life very comfortable.
Yeah.
Um, but like I've always wanted to go into art. And I feel like over the years I've lost that creative kind of inspirational touch and just because I've put it off for so long. I'm just wondering how do I get back in touch with that and what would that look like in the future?
It's a beautiful question. These are really great questions, man. Look at you. You were worried about what to ask.
I
You got so
really
many great questions.
I'm like she must say that to everyone.
No, no, because some people they just I don't know. Like you can tell when people open up and they're like, okay, this is what I really want to know, and that's what makes me feel really
Mhm.
excited to like help with those answers. All right, masculine, feminine, lovers card, and the stone. Are you in a relationship right now? Or are you single?
Yeah, I am.
You're which one?
I am in a
In
relationship.
a relationship. Okay. I always like to ask because I don't want to say the wrong thing. It helps to translate the
Mhm.
messages. So give me a second. So start with the stone. Okay, so the first thing that they're showing me is like a river rock where water is like drip, drip, dripping over it, and like wearing away the rock. So they're saying things that don't seem to be abrasive can be very, very abrasive. And so what they're saying is like in the industry that you're in, which is hard because it feels like it feels like on your end, because the work is important, right? It's hard to justify putting yourself above the work, but they're saying she needs to take more breaks. Like she needs to fucking take more breaks because what this is doing is wearing away at her in ways that aren't healthy. And so I don't know if that, like, what that, how you can interpret that in your own life. Like, if that means like vacations more often, like using your vacation days or using sick days as mental health days, or if it's just like leaving work at a reasonable time, you know. But they're saying it's really
Hmm.
important that you recognize that you're not, you're, the beauty of a healthy work life relationship is that it gives to you. So this job gives you the luxury of being able to have a life in the way that you want, but it's not worth it if you're not actually enjoying life in the, like, to the fullest, you know. So they'd like to see you take
Right.
more advantage of the benefits that this job offers you. Because they're saying she's not even going to be there forever. Like this is not, this has career potential for a lot of people, but you're not going to be there for forever. You're there for a short time, in the, like, meaning in the length of like a career, full life career.
Hmm.
You're not here for forever, and so kind of like live it up, like enjoy this time because it's really, it's nice to be young and like gainfully employed, and you know, to have the benefits that this job offers. So they like to see you take more advantage of
Hmm.
it. That's the first thing. Same goes with the lovers.
Gotcha.
They're also saying that this job is impacting your relationship um, in a
Hmm.
way that's not healthy. So it feels like it just feels like what I'm feeling right now in my chest is like I feel on edge. I feel like I can't, like, there's nowhere for the energy of the day to go, and so it just gets dumped into the relationship in an unhealthy way, and it can create distance. Now there's a lot of understanding also. It feels like the partner that you have is very understanding that of the job that you have, but it's also
Hmm.
hurtful. Like it's also hurtful. Like they wish that you could just kind of like put them above work too. So there's a lot of people that really want to be above this job type. You are one of them, and your partner's the other. Um, and so they're saying that you can find greater solace in your relationship if you just allow yourself to open up and put the relationship ahead of the job more often than you currently do. That's
Hmm.
important to know.
Okay.
Masculine and feminine. They're saying like you're a badass bitch. You get a lot done. Listen, like you any employer would be really lucky to have you on their team. Um, and you take pride in that. You really do. But it's over, like they're couching this as like the masculine energy is the doer and the feminine energy is the one that exists, or the one that is. Instead of saying if you want your
Hmm.
creativity back, just create more space for it. Like the way that you create space for your job, you literally, what they're showing me is like you create space for the job and the job fills it. So whatever space you create for it, it's gonna fill. So create a smaller space for it and create a new space for you to just be. And they're saying whatever the art is, like part of you is like, well, if it's not going to be anything, do anything, then what's the point? And they're saying the mental
Hmm.
health benefits is enough. Like right now the mental health benefits
Yeah.
are enough.
Yeah.
So please just create, it can be tiny in comparison to the space you create for your job. um, but they would really like you to create more space for it. And they're also recommending the book The Artist's Way, which is funny. I keep trying to read it and I haven't read it, but
Oh my God, that's funny. I have it.
really, well, they're telling you to fucking read it.
Yeah, I know. I haven't read it. I'm like, I'm, I've had it for over a year, and I'm done with chapter one.
Yeah, I think I
That's
got to
so
like the
funny.
prelude and the chapter one, and I
Yeah.
just didn't go further. That's funny. So I guess I have to read
Oh,
it too. Yeah, so that's what they're saying
that's
about that.
hilarious.
What is your
That's
next
so funny.
question?
Wow,
Your guys seem
this is
really
cool.
It is, isn't it? Like it's so much fun. You're right, it is fun.
Um, you have a cool job. You just do this all day. This is awesome.
Yeah, I used to
Is
be
this
in.
like that Netflix show, like the Tyler Medium guy?
I
Or
haven't
you
seen
know what
it.
I'm
There's a
talking about?
Netflix. No, there's a Netflix show about a medium.
Yeah,
We're gonna have
yeah,
to look it
it's
up.
very good.
I'm gonna check it out.
Yeah.
No, my back. I
Hmm.
used to be in advertising and PR, and
Hmm.
marketing and worked for the city of Philadelphia, and I just hated it. I just hated it. So I started this business over the pandemic. Mm.
would you like be able to just like read people's energies like when they walk by?
So
Like,
I
how do you know you had this like
no it.
skill?
I had like this crazy spiritual awakening where I felt like I was going crazy for a little bit because then I did start picking up on people's energies like that. Random people would come up to
Mhm.
me and tell me things, and everything seemed so like synchronistic, but I didn't even know what that word was at the
Mhm.
time, you know, so I felt kind of crazy.
Mhm.
Um, but now I'm at the point where I ask to tap in instead of it just flooding me because in the beginning it just felt like everything was too bright, everything was too loud, and I couldn't turn it off. I'm like, I'm going fucking insane. Like this has to stop. So then I learned how to
Mhm.
like close it down and just open it when I need it. So it's much more manageable. Thank God.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So I am interested in like the inner child work. I think
Yeah.
that you do. It's either the inner child or the past lives. You
Yeah.
do both, I
Yeah. I
think.
do both. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and those are like you have to like come in physically, right?
No,
Or
everything's over
do you do
Zoom.
those?
Yeah, everything's over
Everything's
Zoom.
virtual. Oh, okay.
Everything's virtual.
Hmm.
I record all the sessions and give you a replay after because, especially the past life regressions, those can be like 3 hours long. And so there's a lot of
Right, they
information to
take
come through.
forever. Hmm.
Yeah, so I record everything. And really, what it is, it's an opportunity for you, your logical, like conscious thinking mind, to kind of take a back step and let your subconscious come forward and in different formats. Like
Hmm.
your inner child, you get to meet them, get to see how old they are. And they're so fucking awesome, man. Like, you know how kids will, they'll be like, that's not your hair, that's a wig. And you're like, shut up. Like,
Hmm.
that's rude. So
Yeah.
they'll be super honest with you in a way about yourself, you know, because they are
Hmm.
you. So it's really nice to connect with yourself that way. And then the past lives let you connect to the work your soul has been doing over lifetimes. Because we kind of think about our life as just
Hmm.
who we are right now, but there's things you've been working on
Right.
for lifetimes and like kind of tap back into that. So it's really cool. And these are things that helped
Okay,
me when
cool.
I was going through my thing, you know? So.
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
Um, okay, so I guess my next question would be like this year is like kind of has been kind of tough for um like my relationship, I guess, or these past couple of years, ever since COVID, because we actually broke up. We during COVID because we were stuck apart. But
Mhm.
I guess like how is it gonna look in in within this year, like in the next couple months and
It's a great question.
um yeah.
All right, let's see. We have the underworld, we have perception, and the queen of air. These look like scary cards, but let's tap in and see what they mean.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's say go right for the scariest. We'll go with the underworld. All right. So the first thing you need to know is, as hard as it is now, is as hard as it's going to get. It's not going to get worse than this. So you are in the depths of how bad it can get, and they're telling you
Hmm.
that as solace, because it feels like part of you has been afraid, does it get worse? And it doesn't get worse. You can go up from here. It's just there's some things you need to know in order to kind of shift the focus and the perspective in the relationship, but they want you to know that right now
Hmm.
you are in everything you're saying, like they're validating that, but they just want you to know that you are at bottom. There's no, it doesn't get worse than this. So that's that. We'll go to this one next. No, perception next. Okay. So the most important thing is how the two of you perceive of this relationship. First, you have to understand how your strength is received. The way that you view yourself is like, well, wouldn't you want a strong partner, right? And like, who am I? Like to ask you to, first of all, to ask you to be artificially weak is just disgusting. I want to throw up, right? But then
Hmm.
also, hold on, I just lost it. To ask you to be artificially weak is gross. But then there's something about your strength that leaves your partner feeling like there's no place for them, like you don't need them. And they have this really deep abandonment wound that is very triggering to them because all they really want is to feel needed and loved and respected and trusted, and they don't feel that way with
Mm-hmm.
you.
Mm-hmm.
And they say that, but then they also say, and not within reason. Like, listen, your standard for trust and respect is higher than your standard for being in a relationship, which means you can be in a relationship with somebody that you don't necessarily 100% trust or 100% respect. And they feel that gap between, well, we're in a relationship, but she clearly doesn't respect me or trust me. So it's important that you understand their viewpoint of things, but also recognize that, like, a lot of this isn't changeable, right? Like, they're not asking you to superficially respect or superficially trust this person. It's more about, like, do you think you can get to a place where you could? And it's a tricky, it's like, I'm trying to be careful with the words because I want to make sure I'm very clear about this. It's not anything you can coach them into being a person you can trust or respect. It's almost like you just have to pick your fighter. And if you feel that you've picked a fighter that is not the fighter you want right now, maybe you should pick another fighter, right? Because this
Mm-hmm.
person deserves to be, like, someone's gonna love them. You know what I mean? Just like someone's gonna love you.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it's not you, then you have to have that hard conversation with yourself of, like, all right, if they mess up, am I going to, like, hold that against them? Am I going to be resentful? Or if they mess up, can I have their back?
Mm-hmm.
And if you can't, then it's better to be honest with yourself about that, because your standard for respect and trust should be the same as your standard for being in a relationship with somebody. But the problem is that you, at your core, you do have a soft heart, and you're also very understanding, right? Like, you have a lot of bandwidth, much more bandwidth than other people have for growth. And so you can end up in situations where you're just like, come on, dude, like, just pull it together. This could be great. But the lesson here is to just pick great. Just pick great from Jump Street. So that's important. And then this Queen of Air.
Mm-hmm.
They want you to know you don't have to do anything. Like, you don't have to do anything about this. The nature of relationships like this, first of all, the reason why the two of you are together is because they can learn from you and you can learn from them. Like, what you can learn is what you require in a relationship. And listen, the stakes increase with more commitment, right? So the when you're dating, it's a different requirement that you'll feel from that person than when you're engaged, and a different requirement than when you're married, and a different requirement than when you're gonna have kids, right? So that's why they're saying it's better to pick a fighter that you can trust and respect now, because it only gets the stakes only raise from here, right? So that's important to
Mm-hmm.
you. So they're just letting you know, like, you don't have to do anything. Just with this new perspective in mind, just witness and just see what happens. And if it's time for you to go, then that it will be made easy for you. And if it's something you want to stay and fight for, then by all means stay and fight for it. But it can't be from a place of trying to pull them up or teach them or guide them or lead them into the type of person that you want them to be. It really has to be you surrendering and accepting them for who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was heavy.
Wow.
Yeah. Hmm.
Um, I guess, I mean, this is a silly question. I'm sure you get this a lot.
Hmm.
Is this even the right relationship for me? I mean, we like love each other a
Yeah.
lot. We've been together for a long time,
Yeah.
and I like can see myself spending the rest of my life with him, but like this reading just made me kind of doubt that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or yeah.
Well, let's just pull some clarifying cards. I think that'd be helpful. Let's see.
Okay.
We got that Queen of Air card again. That, I love when stuff like that happens. I
Yeah.
think it's so cool. All right, so we got the
Mhm.
Destiny card and the Queen of Air card. Start with the Destiny. So the first thing they're saying is, rest assured, you were always supposed to be with this person. Okay, so, like, this relationship was
Mhm.
always supposed to happen. So they don't want you to feel like you've made a mistake. And honestly,
Right.
in relationship with you is how this person can make the most soul advancement, because you are not easy, right? Like, you really are calling them to task on a lot of things that they it would be easier for them to go on a rock and hide. If there's no hiding with you. Remember that Queen of
Hmm.
Fire card that came out? Like
Yeah.
there's no hiding, right?
Yeah.
Um, so but then this part, this Queen of Air, they're it's more about like what would bring ease to your life, right? Like you deserve to have effortlessness, you deserve to have ease, you deserve to have it just feel comfortable. And part of you has internalized that love is a challenge. Like love is something that you work hard for, and love is something that you may have to suffer for. That's not necessarily the case. So they're separating love from ease, right? And they're saying if you look at it from that perspective, like yes, there's love, but I also want ease, and I think that I can find ease and love, right? So it's really up to you because this is a puzzle that you can spend the rest of your life working out, and it would be beneficial in a growth standpoint. Um, but it's more of like, do you have the endurance, really, the endurance to really get through this? Because it's not even about surviving to the end, right? Like, say you guys get married and do all that stuff and have kids and all that stuff, right? Like you don't want to feel resentful of whatever you had to sacrifice in
Right.
order to get to that point, right? So they're thinking more, they're
Right.
saying
Right.
instead
Yeah.
of thinking about like depth of love, like of course you love this person, but think about like I deserve to have just a relationship that feels easy, that so every area of my life is not a struggle, you know?
Right.
Yeah. Hmm.
So interesting.
No.
Okay.
Do you want to ask one last question?
Um,
Yeah, we covered.
oh man. Yeah, that covered like everything. This is so freaking cool. Um, I guess like financially, like because I think I grew up in, like with the immigrant parents and just in this like abundance in the scarcity mindset, and I'm
Yeah,
trying to like change over to an abundance mindset.
yeah,
Um, but still that fear of like not having enough is like always with me.
yeah,
And
yeah.
where I guess like financially in the next 2 to 5 years, like how's that gonna look?
Yeah, it's a great question.
And like would I ever be that person with the abundance mindset?
Of course. That's gonna be all three. So interesting. Are you fucking kidding? Oh my gosh, I love this show. I swear to God. We have the
Whoa.
Seven of Earth and then the King of Fire and the Queen of Fire, which is like amazing. Give me 1 second. I'm saying start with the King of Fire. I'm saying start here. All right, so the first thing that they're saying is you need to buy something. Like you need to buy a house or a condo, or like you need to own where you live. That's really important. It's important for you, and they're saying do it reasonably. Like this is we're not talking dream house material right now. We're saying buy something that you to because the problem is not losing things. The problem is not having things, it's losing things, you know? So you need to have things that you can't lose. So buy something that's reasonable, that's, you enjoy, right? It's not about like just buying, a $20,000 house, if that even exists, but buy
Hmm.
something that can give you stability and can feel like home. It can feel like you're actually building something stable. So that's really important for you to
Hmm.
know. The other thing is they want you to play with like enjoying yourself but not living outside your means, because
Hmm.
that's another thing it's gonna trigger you. It's gonna trigger you to do nice things, but it's also gonna trigger you to feel like you're too compressed and not able to enjoy yourself. So that's the balance that they really want you to find. Like it's fine to have nice things, but also live within your means so that you don't feel stressed. And they also want you to focus on, and I don't know if you have this or not, but focus on savings, like building a cushion. Like most people say like
Hmm.
a 6 month cushion, but they'd like you to build like an 18-month cushion. Like it's really important for you to have like
Hmm.
these things are really going to give you stability that and really calm your anxieties, because then it's like, all right, it doesn't matter. I own my house. It doesn't matter. I have 18-month cushion.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So those are the
Right.
things that'll really help to calm those anxieties in a real way that then you'll be able to relax a bit more. That's really important.
Mm-hmm.
Now we'll go to the King of Fire. So the reason that these cards came out together, they're actually saying I can read them together. The reason why these cards came out together is because you did not come here to suffer, okay? You came in the physical, so you have a soul lineage, which is the lineage of like your spiritual soul, right? And then you have a physical
Mm-hmm.
lineage, which is the lineage that you choose to be born into to help move the lineage forward. Um, so
Mm-hmm.
you came in to help this lineage. You did not come here to suffer. You came in with the parents that you had, so you could understand the value of hard work, and so you could also see what it takes to really get from one place to another financially and like economically. But the intention, the hope was that you would not internalize that too much to where it would be debilitating. So that's why they're saying these are practical things you can do to give yourself some mental space to not have to worry about those things. But you are absolutely like of queen energy, and they want you to know that that's why it's so important who you pick as a partner, because they need to be the same. Like you should not, it doesn't work if you're pulling someone along. It needs to be, you need to be equally yoked, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
so in the next, like you asked, the next 2 to 5 years, they're saying this should be your focus. Just getting those
Mm-hmm.
material things that can give you that sense of safety and security. Um, but either make sure that it's in your name, or like I'm just feeling like it's yours. Like I'm not feeling like it's a two thing. I'm feeling like it's like a your thing.
Right.
So that's what they're saying.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Ah! Wait 1 second. I'm gonna.
So
Okay.
how often can you get these done? Like how often do you recommend getting these done?
Yeah, so I tell people I trust, I trust your intuition and your feeling, like you'll know when you need to come back. I have people to come every week because
Mm-hmm.
they're going through something really fucking hard, and it helps to check in and
Mm-hmm.
have like, that stability. But then I have other people that come once a year, so it's like you'll know when
Mm-hmm.
it's time to come back. But the biggest thing that I feel is don't guilt trip yourself for wanting help. Like that's something that a lot of people
Mm-hmm.
do. It's like, oh, like my guys probably think I'm stupid. And it's like, no, it's really hard to be down here. It's really hard to be a human. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have access to the full, spiritual ability that you have until you start connecting to yourself more in that way. But then also practice trying to bring this information in your own way, because like through journaling, you can get downloads that way, through meditation. My favorite way is to journal because, like I said, I'm ADHD. Um, Going on
Mm-hmm.
walks, even different plants like mushrooms or marijuana, whatever, like whatever floats your boat.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
But like try to have your way to connect, because my dream is that everyone has the same ability that I do, which we all do, which is just connect to that higher self version of yourself, bring that information whenever you want. So, short answer is wherever you want, girl. I'm always here.
Do you offer like more personalized, like spiritual guidance? I know it sounds like super
Yeah.
woo-woo, but like
Yeah.
do you offer that type of service?
Yeah, so I started offering a mentorship session
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like an hour of you and me sitting together and whatever you want to talk about. So if you want to practice something, or you just have questions or weird things
Mm-hmm.
happening, and we can do cards, whatever whatever you need, you can just use that hour for. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Do you have like medium abilities? Like, I don't know.
So thank God I don't see anything. Like I don't
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
see anything, but I have had, like, my grandmothers are both passed, and during that spiritual
Mm-hmm.
awakening, like one of them came to me 3 o'clock in the morning, woke me up out of a dead sleep, and I had so much information coming in that I just had to like write it all out, and it was stuff for my family that they needed to hear. And after that, then other people's like people will come to me, but only in sessions like this. So that was the boundary that I set. I'm like, all right, if we set up a
Mm-hmm.
session and I feel safe and we have the boundaries in place to make sure that we don't have any crazy shit coming in, that's fine. But like, don't you fucking tap me out of my dead sleep. Just be like, hello, I'm here. So yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Thanks so much. I really appreciate it.
Of course, man. I'll be in touch in a couple days with your recording. If you have any questions, you can always reach
Okay.
out. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
I'll see you again. Bye.
Okay, sure. Bye.